Hello, welcome to Flory Models. I'm Flory. Got loads of different stuff for you this week. We've got 2 reviews. We've got a full video build with a Spitfire by Rob Brooks. Brilliant one. That is really, really nice. We got the armoured group build, allied group build SIG finish. As promised at the end of the show, we got the video for that, so it's well worth watching all of that. We've got a little bit on sanding and filling with super glues and Mr. Surfacer and everything else. You'll see all that in a minute on the MIG and everything else. So lots to look forward to today, plus the fact we've got some great reviews and that, which are right below here if you're watching this on the Flory Model site. First of all, welcome to all the new members. We've got over 30 of you this week have signed up onto the site, so it's great to have you there. Unfortunately, I think it's only around about 13, 14 of you have actually made it over to the forum. Please guys, if you haven't seen it, I know a lot of people like to sit back, you don't have to say anything in there, but you are missing out on a huge part of Flory Models. The forum we have is massive and goes on forever now. You do have to be a subscriber to go in there, okay? So all you do is when you subscribe, you would put in your name, has to be the same for the forum. So re-register again for the forum with the same name you used for the main site when you registered for that. It will then identify with it and it will let you in straight away or within half an hour, something like that. If it's a different font, perhaps a different name, something like that, different characters, it queries it, sends it to me and I reference it. If it's nothing like it, it will just kick you out and you'll get it declined. We've had loads of people trying to get into the forum who are non-subscribers. Guys, you have to be a subscriber. I know we say about this, I know it's like advertising, but it's $2.99 a month. There's massive. You're going to get all the video. There's 230 hours of video to watch here. You've got all the video builds from anybody who's ever been a member of the site, okay, and everything else like that. There's probably around about 1,150 people active in our forum who talk, discuss it, if you ever need anything like that, but you do have to be a member, and we probably turn away around about 100 people a week now who are trying to subscribe into the forum. It won't let you in. There's no point keep trying. I know a few of you keep banging and banging at it. It won't let you in unless you're a subscriber. It's well worth it, you know, trust me. You know, I don't spend as much time as I should be in there because obviously of building and everything else, but the guys who are in there, and obviously you've got the team who are in there, but you've got loads of members who will jump on you and help you out any way they can, because that's what we do here. So it's well worth that. So welcome to all the new members. Thank you. A lot of you have sent feedback immediately to us saying how great it is and everything else. As I said, team effort, you're now part of it, so thank you for everything as well. Busy this week on the MIG. As I said, it's a bit of a filler nightmare at the moment working through this one, but it's all together now and everything else. So talking about filler, here's a short little clip from this week's build about filling and sanding and things like that.
Okay, so those wings are on there and dried now, and so are those intakes down there. Now, we can sand up the wings, but we're going to do that all at the end. So what we want to do is take care of any little gaps. Now, many years ago, you see gaps like underneath the wing here. Okay, now that is just caused because we want it to be at the correct angles for the actual wings to be all square and aligned. So because of that, we've caused it. Now, a few years ago, it would have been a real problem with thing. You pump it full of filler, sand it down, make a bit of a nasty mess and all the rest of it. 2 ways of doing it these days. You can either put a shim of plasticard down there. Now, plasticard literally comes in strips like, if I can buy an off cut of it, it'll be a bit easier than showing you a giant sheet. It says, like here, you can buy little thin strips of it. Okay, now this is 0.75 of a mil. Okay, so if we show you both ways, so I can get a piece out. And when they're pre-cut like this, it's quite nice because you can just feed them in. Then actually what you can do, we just bring them in a little bit. Okay, you can actually come along with the piece, we deliberately make it a little bit too long. Okay, and you can literally feed it in to the gap. Now if it's going to go or not, I'm not too sure because of the thickness. Yes, it will go, which is handy. Now you might not get it in all the areas, but if you can get it into a few of them, it will help out. And there we go, we just feed that in. So you've actually got it in, and you can literally just push it down in the gap like so. So you can see it in there. And obviously we've got a little bit left over on the end, so we'll just cut that off, just like that. And we're going to push it flush down into our gap that we've got. Okay, just in there, then all we do, come along with a little bit of extra thin glue or a weld type glue or a hot glue that's actually going to melt it all in. Okay, over it just like that. Takes care of that gap really nice and easy like that. Then this one up here, obviously you can then use other little bits, or you can literally just use a bit of filler. Over on here, we've got another gap. Okay, so if we show you on this one, all we're going to use is your traditional type of filler. Now I just always use the back end of a paint stirrer. You get the sort of flat edge for it, but we can just grab a little bit, okay, and then all we do is literally work it into the gap. Okay, now because it's a big deep old gap, we're trying to get it in there. We don't want to be filling the entire thing, so you're trying to make a layered effect. Okay, and we can just smooth that all down, grab a bit more, just over the top. Now the trouble with using traditional fillers is it used to make a right old mess when you come round to clean up and all the rest of it, and I'm just chucking this on wildly at the moment. Two things to remember about filler we spoke about briefly earlier. First of all is that, here we go. First of all is that it will shrink, okay? Most fillers do. I don't know of a filler that doesn't shrink in some type of way. Now, I know somebody's going to come along now and say, oh, have you tried touch and touches? But to date, I haven't found anything that doesn't do it. So we've cleaned that up a little bit, as you can see. That needs to totally dry off. Once that is, you can either take like an acetone and something like that, clean it, or just cellulose thinners that you clean your airbrush with. That will take that quite nicely, as we can see. So then what you can do, once those two are on, that's just two ways. If I just do this other one here, up the front here, just get those into position. So we're just going to wildly go over the top a little bit. Place those in. Now, the other thing is as well, we spoke about them briefly before, but we go a little bit more in detail. Putties. Now, obviously, you might have seen into my old videos, I have this, okay? This is just Squadron Green putty, okay? And then all I do is that it's dried out and everything in here. Add a little bit of thinners to it. It thins it down again. You can make it up and make it into really any type of consistency you like. Okay, but you can buy off the shelf ones. So for instance, I have got another one around here somewhere, which I can't see off the top of my head, but I did buy one the other day. There it is. So we have 500, it's quite thick. We've got the 1000, is a lot thinner, and then obviously got the 1200. All these are liquid putties. Great thing about these is that when you paint them on, they do tend to dry very, very quickly. That's because they're obviously enamel based or lacquer based type of thinner. So all we're going to do is just take an oldish brush. Don't use your best brushes on these. Okay. Then we just take a bit out of the pot and you just go along to all your joins and seam lines. Now we're just going to slap this on quite thick to everywhere which has got a seam or a join or anything like that. And then what this will do, it has a filler capability, okay, and we'll fill them in. So we're just going to paint these down everywhere that it's had one. Now you can give this a couple of coats and build it up, but as I've said with all workings like this before, take your time, let them build up. Okay, you're never ever going to do filling. Very, very rarely do you do a filler job that's going to do it in one coat. Okay, so what we're going to do as well, we're going to go down and do these seals down in here. Okay, all the way round. And then that way you won't get any nasty gaps and surprises as we go over. Now, it's really easy to clean this up, and you'll see that in a moment when we come to using acetones and things like that. So we're going over those top ones that we've sanded down before and everything else, and that way we can use this because you will see any gaps, lumps and bumps around as you do this. Okay, so we're going to go right over those front ones we took care of. Okay, only drawback to doing it this way is that yes, we are going to have to bite the bullet and do a little bit of rescribing because this will cover up any holes and joins you might have. Okay, but it is well worth doing this because it just gives that little bit more of a professional look because you'll have perfect seams every single time. Okay, so we'll give that a run, and I'm just going to do just down on these air scoops where the photo etch part joins the plastic just to make a slightly better join of the both of them. Again, we're going to clean all this up, so don't be too worried about it. These areas where we did that bit of filling, showing different ways of doing it, I'm just going to go over the top with this stuff. Okay, but as I said, it's got a, depending on which version of this you use, it does have a nice filler capability. So we'll just pop those in. Okay, top of these wing seals are really very good, but again, just because we don't want to take any chances, we're going to go and do them. Fill them in, and that way we'll have a lovely looking top side to the aircraft.
Okay, so there you go. That's the filler work and everything else now. It's basically together now. What we can do is just give this a final sand over, get the tailplanes on, things like that, and we can get the photo etch part onto those one, which will be happening next week, early next week when I get onto that one. So the next part 2 of that is the build up at the moment. Let's say it's in HD and everything else. Again, you're going to have to be a subscribing member to see it now. I remember last week I did it as a bit of a tease. It was open to anybody who wanted to see it, but now it's been locked down, so you're going to have to be a subscriber. Right, what else have we got going? We've got Hans has done 2 beautiful reviews on 2 release kits that he picked up at Scale Model World. One is Alicat's Vampire. Now this is a resin limited edition kit. If you remember last week I did the review on the Tucano, that was their Tucano that was out there. This is the Vampire, another beautiful kit. You can see the full details about that review down there at the moment. And also A to Z have just released the J29 in 148, which is quite nice because injection moulded versus the resin one that's been out before. It's a lovely kit, real iconic aircraft, being the Saab aircraft as it is. So you can see both of those reviews just below here. The other thing as well, Rob Brooks, who is returned back to the modelling recently, has just churned out a stunning piece of work. Not only is this a stunning Spitfire, we know the Tamiya Spitfire is a lovely kit. Trust me, you want to see this one because he's got some lovely, clear, detailed photos of how he did it in this week's photo build, which is then obviously going to be listing right the way through, loads of colour photos, and he talks about how he did it and everything else like that. Speaking of those ones, I've had lots of people email me this week saying that they would love to write to us and all the rest of it. We'd love to accept you, but honestly guys, as you know, we're a bit of a family here. You have to be a subscriber to get your work on the site. You know, we just don't take in commission work from outside. It's a member site, it's the members' builds, it's as simple as that. So there's no point really sending me emails or just stuff saying, you know, you can use mine, because obviously it is the subscribers. What we tend to do is either chirp up and say, guys, if you want to use mine, help yourself, or we will just contact you and say, can we use, we'll take all the photos said before onto our server, so it's not going to eat up your bandwidth and all the rest of it, and we'll do all the hard work of just putting it, you know, from the forum format into actually the main site for and get it on there. Hopefully next week, I played with a couple of ideas, but it was just sort of, you know, trying to keep it as simple as possible to find the builds. So we're going to have categories for the photo build. It's going to have its own master page now, menu page, where you're going to have classic aircraft, which will be sort of, you know, World War II-ish, classic jets, modern aircraft, and things like that. Then obviously we're going to have helicopters, and then there'll obviously be one for armour, as a sci-fi, things like that for the photo builds, to make them a little bit more streamlined and easier to navigate. Then you click on it, it'll take you to the full build, and you can go through it like that. The same as I'm going to do with the video build now, because we've got now, I think it's about 45 full length builds now, start to finish builds, plus all the tutorials ones of the video, so that's going to happen as well. So the site will almost be like 3 sections. You're going to have photo builds, you're going to have the store in the middle for all the products we do, and then the video section as well. And the video section will then obviously have the tutorials bit, tutorials and airbrushing, which are going to be redone very soon, and tutorials then for just your general modelling techniques, then all the full builds as well. So hopefully it will make it a little bit easier to navigate and a little bit more streamlined for everything. Right, that is really around about it for this week. We're going to leave you this week with a lovely video of everybody's work that took part and completed models for the Allied Armour SIG build that went on a couple of months ago. Finally got it all done, got it into position, and at the end you're going to see who the winner is. So without further ado, here it is. Until next week everybody, happy modelling and take care.